Sometimes loneliness feels like the end, but for one turtle, it became the beginning of self-discovery. What if the thing you fear most, being alone, is actually the path to your greatest strength? On the quiet edge of a lake lived a turtle. No one knew his name because there was no one around to call it. No friends, no family, no companion. Just him, and his silence. Every morning, he would crawl slowly to the shore, watch the ripples of the water, then hide back under a rock, carrying the heavy weight of his shell and an even heavier silence in his heart. His eyes carried a deep sadness, like he was searching for something he had lost. But it wasn't always this way. Once, he had a big family filled with laughter and love. His mother used to tell him, moving slowly doesn't mean you're weak. It means you notice more, you learn more, and you always reach the right place in time. Back then, he didn't understand. One day, everything changed. His family left the lake, maybe to find better water and food. But whatever the reason, they left him behind. Alone. At first, he waited at the shore every day. Every sound felt like his loved ones returning. Every wave felt like hope. But time slowly taught him, they weren't coming back. That truth carved silence into his heart. He stopped playing, stopped swimming, stopped basking in the sun. He just hid in his shell, watching the world move on without him. Yet nature became his new family, the whisper of the trees, the rhythm of the waves, the music of raindrops, and the stars at night. One evening, as the sun melted into an orange sky, he noticed something. The sun disappears every night, but it always returns the next morning. That thought became his first spark of hope. He began talking to himself. Why am I so slow? He'd ask. And he'd answer, because my shell is heavy. But that same shell also keeps me safe. I'm all alone. That's sad. But being alone means I get to truly know myself without pressure from anyone else. He turned his sadness into words, and his words into strength. He discovered, when you learn to talk kindly to yourself, you become your best friend. Then came the storm. Dark skies, raging winds, wild waves. The turtle was terrified, but he tucked himself into his shell and stayed still. For hours, the storm raged. But his shell held strong. When it was over, a rainbow appeared, and he finally realized his weakness was also his strength. His slow pace was his steady power. For the first time, he smiled. From that day, he decided to swim a little each morning, look at his reflection in the water, and tell himself, you are enough. You are unique. What you carry makes you strong. His shell began to shine brighter in the sunlight, but more importantly, his heart felt lighter. The burden was no longer in his mind. One day, he dared to swim across to the other side of the lake. At first, he was scared. What if I get tired? What if it's too far? But he reminded himself, even slow steps reach the finish line. Along the way, he discovered new wonders: tiny plants growing between rocks, glowing fish deep in the water, shining stones catching the light. By the time he reached the far shore, he realized he hadn't just crossed the lake, he had crossed his own limits. That was his greatest victory. Now, he often smiled and whispered, I'm not truly alone. I always have myself. And that's enough. Loneliness no longer scared him, it brought him peace. He understood that sadness isn't permanent. It's just a season, like rain, like winter, like night. It always passes. And when the sun set in golden light, he said to himself, I'm still the same turtle I was before. But now I know I'm not weak, I'm steady. I'm not empty, I'm whole. And this story reminds us, loneliness isn't punishment, it's the path to self-discovery. Moving slowly doesn't mean losing, it means learning the way. Strength isn't always outside, it often hides within us. Every storm ends with a rainbow. Every night ends with a sunrise. If this story touched your heart, hit the like button, subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments.